stick on our timeline. And so that way, just everybody knows we're not going to hold you afterwards and do that. If we get done before, great, but we'll stay as long as your questions are coming to the end. So at this point, I want to introduce some folks. One, I'm going to introduce my partner, Trevor. He's the co-founder of HGA Fundraising, a world-class athlete, endurance machine. You'll see him biking hype out there training. So don't hit him with your car because he's biking around the world. So not really, but he thinks he is. He makes me think he is. Our other panelists, Amy Meyers is the National Senior Director of Fundraising and Community Events for Muscular Dystrophy. She's worked there for 8 years. She has a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration focused on marketing from Clarion University of Pennsylvania. And we are so thankful that Amy could join us again. She's just been a great friend of HGA and does a fantastic and a huge wealth of knowledge. I also want to introduce, and I'm so tickled to do this today because Kyle Flinton, he's a PGA golf professional, but I want to say he's also a 2-time PGA championship qualifier, 3-time PGA assistance champion, and was a member of the 2009 U.S. PGA Cup team that represented the United States and Great Britain. So, and not only that, he is just a great guy. And so we're really excited to have him here because he's going to be able to give you a lot of feedback and a lot of information, not only on cool things that you can do raising money, but to see it from a head golf pro's position whenever you're negotiating your deal and talking to, and maybe things that you haven't asked. So Kyle, thank you so much for being here. Amy, thank you so much for being here.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, I want to ask Amy really quick, and this is just what I want to just jump right to, and I wrote some of this stuff down just so that way I don't forget it, because if I get talking off the fly, we'll never get to anything. Talk about how the pandemic and how just the new normal has influenced MDA's golf tournament fundraising for 2021, if you don't mind, just from a national perspective.
Sure. So I would say that because of the pandemic, because of COVID guidelines, we actually are putting more focus on golf in 2021 than we have in the past. We are doing things, anything from converting a gala to a golf outing, or really focusing on larger golf outings and how we can grow them, because you have that flexibility to be outside and social distance and follow COVID guidelines versus, in the past, the galas have been kind of our biggest fundraiser when it comes to distinguished events, but because of COVID in 2021, we've really shifted and putting our focus on golf outings.
Okay, great. Well, thank you. So this has really been pertinent for you guys on a national level, just thinking about keeping all that stuff, to keep people engaged, just going outside. So Kyle, would you mind just talking about what has happened with golf just in general since the pandemic?
Well,
I know there's varying degrees of stuff open, but just the state of, what people are golfing and stuff.
Well, go back 12 months ago, you're looking into a wonderful upcoming 2020 season. And, just after spring break, we went out to California to go play Torrey Pines and go to the TaylorMade Kingdom with the boys to see some new equipment. And, and then all of a sudden each night the restaurants were getting closer and closer and being shut down. And we weren't sure if we were going to get home. And, we had already pre-planned our April golf calendar. And, you walk back into something that none of us have ever dealt with across the globe. Everything just kind of re-geared, and you just kind of had to refocus and try to figure out your new schedule, because all of a sudden all of your March scheduling was going by the wayside. Your April, state by state was different on how things were set up, whether you could or couldn't play golf. We were real iffy in the shop whether we were going to even open up the club. And so, I'd bought merchandise, I'd bought golf equipment, all these things had gone into the season, and then everything just froze. So, you're sitting on a lot of inventory. Your members and guests are all concerned whether they're even going to be able to play golf. And then, you look at some of the numbers, and each month things start opening up and the numbers go up, and 20% in June and 22% in July. And golf's the only sport that just was outdoors, that people could take 5 carts and all be away from each other and, play for 4 hours and at least get outside and get some physical activity and some fresh air, where everybody else was cooped inside. So, those changed. I think by June, we were at about 44% of courses open. And by the end of, I think by July, you were almost at 98% of some of the places were open back up. So it was a real tough time. And it's amazing to me to see the growth of the game. But also the vendors are having a difficult time keeping up with the demand. So they cut back on a lot of their golf equipment, a lot of their apparel, a lot of their headgear. And so now everybody's playing golf, and you may order a set of clubs, you may not get them for 2 months. So those are just sticky situations that you're having to deal with going forward.
Well, that's really good insight, because, I hadn't really thought about all that stuff coming back in the backlog for that. So if you are planning a tournament, you really got to get ahead of the game to make sure that you get everything in, and golf
Absolutely.
balls and things like that, so you don't do that. And I've got a question I'm going to hop to, because we're just going to get right into the deal. But before we do that, Amy put some stuff together, a recipe, and I thought I'd just pop this up real quick and let you guys see it, and just hopefully everybody can see it real quick. And I'm going to change the screens around where you guys can see this a little better real fast. And so, oh, come on. I think that's what the view is. Good grief. Anyway, so you guys can see it. So Amy, please, just talk us through the recipe for success, for a successful golf outing, and then maybe what we do is hit on the points. And if people see this, if you guys can all see it, then if there's one, make your question within that. And it may be something, if it's about mission drive, vendor driven with internal committees, stuff like that, and which we've seen. And then Kyle, please pop in anytime you see something.
Sure. And I'm going to do this at a very high level, because I know we're, short on time, and we want to, give people lots of time to ask questions. This is just what I have seen over the years really work. And this is just a few of the important parts to a golf outing, as many of you know. But the first one being using a private golf course. It's not appealing for golfers to just go to the public course. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that, but if you really want to increase your revenue, your higher end golf courses will bring in more money. Sponsors are willing to pay more to go to a private course that they could, like a Pinehurst, that you normally couldn't get on, to get on that private golf course. And then, obviously utilized auction software. This was pre-COVID. I liked using auction software to do everything, because you can track your pairings. You can put your silent auction so that while golfers are out on the course, they can still be bidding if they want to, get notified that, they just got outbid. But especially in the middle of a pandemic, using the software allows you to be basically touch free. Everything can be done through your software, and you're not worrying about people, coming to register and signing waivers, and you're changing out pens and whatever. So the software really, really was probably one of the number one things we found during a pandemic that helped us keep with CDC guidelines and that we needed to keep. Vendor driven with an internal committee. I'm going to go back because I just see this question. So is this software cost effective? Absolutely. Hands down, would not hesitate to utilize software and pay the cost for it, just for several reasons. But I think not only the safety when it comes to COVID, but also things like having your silent, if you have a silent auction, having it on there, that constant little, they get a little buzz that they just got outbid. It keeps them up to speed with what's going on, and just you're able to do so much with revenue enhancers and everything on it. I would never, ever, and I've done it both ways, because when I first started doing golf outings, we were old school. We did everything paper, hand bidding, hand registration, you name it. I cannot imagine going back to doing it that way. Honestly, if you told me I had to go back, I don't know. I think I would probably hyperventilate, to be honest. So yes, absolutely worth it. Vendor driven with internal committee. It is much easier for a nonprofit to have a title sponsor that is very vendor heavy. And when I say vendor heavy, I recommend they have no less than 200 vendors. Therefore, you're utilizing your title sponsor. They're making the ask of their vendors. It's coming from them. And those vendors, one, like to play golf, and two, they want to support your title sponsor because they're probably the title sponsor is probably writing big checks to them. And so we see the higher numbers of golf outings being when they are vendor driven and you have an internal committee that you work with. Sell sponsorships first, then open up foursomes. We all know when you go to a golf course, especially right now, when, some of them are limited to the number of people, but typically say it's, 144 golfers that can start a shotgun start. You don't want to sell out foursomes and then not have room for sponsorships, because sponsorships is essentially where you make your money. So sell those sponsorships first. Then if you have space, open up for foursomes, individual golfers, whatever. Once, if you sell out, which is a great problem to have, start a waiting list. And as people drop off, you can fill them in. Definitely encourage you to host some type of awards banquet program after. If you're doing games throughout the day, longest drive, closest to the pin, and first, second, third place, you want to be able to have a little banquet and give out these awards. This also gives you the opportunity to add these additional revenue enhancers. So it's almost like you're doing a golf outing with a small gala after, and you want to bring in all the elements that you would at a gala to this banquet. That means a mission drive, a silent auction, a live auction if you can get it, revenue enhancers inside of there. Also, along with the revenue enhancers, just to mention, and Kyle, I think is going to talk more of this. So you want revenue enhancers during your tournament, whether it's a tasty tree where you pick a golf ball, you pay $20, you pick a golf ball off of the tree, and that number correlates with a prize that you win for a restaurant. That's why we call it tasty treat. But just things like that. So those extra little revenue enhancers. And then also, I'm a big believer in Eagle cards and selling them in advance. And that's where you can sell your mulligans. If you do a raffle, you get an arm's length of raffle tickets or whatever it may be. People love Eagle cards. I do have on here, do not sell more than 2 mulligans. It's tough to get a full group of golfers through in 4.5, 5 hours. If you sell more than 2 mulligans, you will have people there for 7 and 8 hours because they'll just buy up all the mulligans and you'll never get them through the course. And then you run the risk, if it takes too long to golf, they don't want to stay for the awards program, which is really essentially our spot where we can get their money. Because you have to remember, I hear people say, well, I don't want to do a mission drive because, they've already paid so much to golf. They paid $25,000 to golf. Well, really, they didn't. Their company paid. Those golfers that are coming probably didn't pay a penny. So absolutely, we should be getting money out of them at this awards banquet. Because like I said, they're golfing for free. They just got a free outing. They probably got paid to work. They're getting breakfast, lunch, probably a dinner, free golf. Lots of fun, great networking. We all know, like, networking to me is like part of why you sell golf. So there's money to be spent with these individual golfers, and we need to make sure we're getting it. And as far as Eagle cards, I don't know, Jason, can you go 2 slides ahead? I'll show you just a quick sample of an Eagle card. We sell them for $50. I think that it kind of goes with the size of your golf outing. If you have a bigger, this is what we would give them. That's a sample card. We would just hand it to them when they check in, they carry it. When they use their mulligan, they check it off. We give them their raffle tickets. And typically, like with the raffle tickets, it's all of the vendors have donated items, and they just take their raffle tickets and they just go drop it in, we have a little bucket or whatever in front of each item, and they drop the tickets in whichever item they want to win. And then we draw them while they're on the course. So when they come in, it's already up on a display board, who won what items. But here again, I mean, our bigger tournaments, we sell them for $100. Our smaller tournaments, we sell them for 25. So I think that really is based on the size of your event.
That's cool. Hey, I popped a poll out real quick, just on the size of your, and so if you don't mind, if you'll do that, and I'll share what it is real quick, just answer that real quick. It'd be great. If you don't have haven't had a tournament or something you don't know, that's fine too. But it gives us a really good idea, an indicator of what is happening.
Kyle and Amy, can you answer a quick question that we had from an attendee about, can you just define what a mulligan is, just so they can understand it, just a brief synopsis?
It's a free shot. So if you mess up a shot, it gives you an opportunity to hit another shot for free.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Well, and I think that's and Kyle will tell you what Amy said. If you give unlimited, if you give a golfer a free shot, they're going to always they'll sit there until
they'll keep going.
And bad golfers there's bad golfers that play in tournament. All of a sudden they're swinging for the fences and they just keep until they get hack one. And so it's just crazy.
Yeah. And I think too, one thing that I've found with golf outings, I always thought of it as like a fun day out for these guys. They're pretty competitive. They want to win like first, second, or third prize, regardless if it's just for the recognition or whatever. I'm to the point. I mean, we have teams that like literally fudge their numbers every year. So, I mean, if they could buy unlimited mulligans, they would.
I would agree with that too, Amy, is that the fact is that, it's hard to track mulligans. So if you sell them 5, they might use 10. There's nobody out there policing those.
Yep.
Something that, and thank you for everybody on the poll. That was really interesting. Most everybody's 25 to 50, but we've got some all the way up to 150 plus. So really all this is good stuff. Kyle, I want to just because we're talking about golf, and in case there's somebody that said, we don't know a golf tournament, would you just give some fundamental stuff about a scramble, what that means, the format, and just for doing a tournament?
Well, one of the things we always took pride in with us was we always had a checklist, that we wanted to make these outings that came to our course special, that my staff, and we try to do 95% of the work for the outing to where they could focus on registration and the fundraising and the silent auction. And we just didn't want them working hard for that day. They were coming to us to get help. So reach out to your PGA Pro. They should help. We used to give golf lessons. We used to give rounds of golf as part of donations. We had helicopter drops. We had canoes set out in ponds where people would pay money to hit range balls at the canoe to give themselves a chance for a hole-in-one on a par 3 that was, 4 balls max that they paid for. So we had different things that happened each time that we had an event. But, you have a 4-person scramble where each player will play in an event, and you'll all tee off and you'll select your best ball, and then you'll hit your second shots, play the best ball until it's all holed out. We always had par as max to where people just were not going to be taking a long day out there, because usually 15, 16, 17 under par we're going to win anyway. So we would just put it on the rule sheet. We didn't want you out there all day. So if you guys were going to make bogey or double and you just weren't good, par was max that you could make. Go out there and have some fun. Some of our events tried to do, best ball, where all 4 players are playing their balls, and then those days can stretch out even longer time on the golf course. So making sure you have a fun format. There's a colored golf ball or a pink lemonade where you pay a special price for a golf ball, and that golf ball rotates between each player in the group. And if you lose the ball, you're basically out for the prizes. But that one colored golf ball is the score for each one of those holes that ball's in play on.
Awesome.
So you just try to have some fun formats so where it's just not the same basic 4-man scramble every time you have an outing.
So what is the timeline? Because like I said, we're just talking just some basic, like, what does a shotgun start?
A shotgun start is where each foursome goes out to an individual hole, and the club either has a siren that they sound, or they have a firework they blast off, and all play starts at a 1 o'clock time, or a 9 o'clock time, or a 12 o'clock time, and they all play in sequence. They just keep playing each hole until the 18 holes is completed, and then they come in and they bring the scorecard back to the clubhouse, and the scoring and the banquet and the silent auction and the food afterwards. You're trying to keep them captive a little bit longer, like Amy said, to get them upstairs. You want them to see the items and thank them and hand out the prizes. You don't want them going straight to their car and going home.
For sure. Kyle, what's the optimum time that you think for a scramble or for a tournament, that from the shot, from the time that they show up and, everybody's getting ready and hitting range balls to the time that they're off the course and into the banquet room, or for whatever that's going to be for the post golf?
For a 1 o'clock shotgun, we were usually getting to the club around 9 and getting everything prepped. And then we usually have people start showing up around 10. Because a lot of your guests are excited to be at a private club. And I'm like Amy, sometimes you got to pay a little bit more to get a nice facility that people go, man, that was a special place. Some of these private clubs are not accessible to everybody. Unless you don't have a friend or a buddy or an uncle or a cousin and get you on that course, you may never see that facility. So it's a great opportunity to gather some very influential people in your community that will never see that facility to come play it. But usually we were done by 6:30. So teeing off at 1, playing 4 hours, you're done at 5. Come in and grab you a quick bite to eat on a buffet, or hand out your awards and your plaques and tell everybody thanks and the sponsors thanks, and looking forward to seeing them next year.
Great point.
So on that question, on that deal about, doing that, what are some of the things as a golf pro, other than mulligans, we talked about that, what are some things that you want to tell our folks to avoid that really slow down play?
Mm-hmm.
Well, on some of these, you just can't help slowing down play. The staff should be out there talking to groups that get a little bit behind, but they've paid good money to play your facility, and you're wanting them to enjoy that whole day. And all we've ever asked is just, try to keep pace with the group in front of you. But we've had, long drive contests. We've had, where you put on your skirt to move up to the forward tees. We've had beat the pro, where there's pros out there, beating them on a par 3, trying to get money that way. There's a crooked line, person that drives it closest to the crooked line. There's a lot of different games you can play. We've had some events where there was actually something on every single hole. Talk to car dealers, try to get a hole in one car. There's nothing prettier than watching 4 brand new cars sitting out on the par 3s. Just make sure that they're not set where a person can hit them.
By the tee box.
By the tee box, or off the side.
Yeah, I'm saying far away from behind. I should say behind, because if I'm playing, it's still in jeopardy. Go ahead, Amy.
I was just going to say, so from a nonprofit side of it, yes, cars, hole-in-ones are great, but make sure you looked into all the guidelines. There's a lot of insurance you have to carry. And if a hole-in-one does happen, and this is from experience, there's a lot of paperwork. There's a lot of things that have to be in place. You have to have 2 people that witness it, or, the company won't give you the car. There's a lot. We had to have and I'm not trying to downplay this, and I'm just trying to put it out there for the reality. Yeah. We had to call a notary to come in at 8 o'clock at night to notarize all the paperwork that we had to sign. And then you also have to remember that while they win this nice shiny car, there's also taxes, titles, transfers. So they win a car, but they then have to pay, depending on the car. Ours, I think it was $7,000. And the guy that won it was so excited, called his wife, thought he was driving it home to her that night. And there's a lot more to it. So I would cars are great. Hole-in-one is great. Just make sure you know what you're getting into and do your homework.
Cool.
Sounds like it was like buying a car.
Hey, just a real quick reminder, stay to the end, because everybody that's on here, we're going to do a drawing for a package that you guys can use for your next fundraiser. So just please, and keep the questions coming. I have a question back to that, just dealing from this, and I'd love to hear both Amy and Kyle say this, but what is something that if I'm trying to book a tournament, what is something that I should be asking the head pro, or, when I'm booking my tournament, that I don't ask, that doesn't get asked? Or what is something that you see that people mess up or they misunderstand on?
I think for mine was bringing in outside food and drinks. I think sometimes at private clubs, the organization thinks that they're going to have to purchase everything at a high price at a private club. And we always felt that you're working for that charity or that fundraiser. And if you get a water sponsor or a beer sponsor or a food sponsor, then, that was just one thing that the club didn't have to do that day. They had less labor involved in it. So some clubs are open to allowing some outside stuff, and we'd have product delivered to us on a Friday, and it would basically stay in the pro shop until Monday morning when we loaded it all up and iced it down and got everything ready for the tournament. And then, you kind of were playing phone tag with the chef to let them know, the groups have 2 more holes left to play and they'll be coming up. So you wanted to make sure everything was kind of rolling each into, there was just no lag time as those tournaments were finishing to where they were going upstairs for the after awards banquet and everything.
Cool.
Kyle, to that point, we had a question from Chris and Russell, and it could be it could have 2 different answers, of course, depending on the course itself. Kristen asked, do you feed the golfers while they're on course? And I know there's different snack bars at different courses and all that kind of stuff, but what's your opinion of that? And I want to hear Amy's opinion as well.
We had a couple from our end, is that we had lunch prior to the 1 o'clock shotgun. That there was like a food truck that would pull in, or we'd bring a smoker in and have a cookout before and feed them before the 1 o'clock shotgun. And then we had, some morning Danishes or some breakfast burritos or something like that if you had an earlier shotgun, and then they would eat a little bit when the round was over. So kind of depends on what time your shotgun is and how are you going to have a sit down dinner or a buffet dinner when you're over. They've been there for a long time that day, so it's hard to keep them really late. And I'll let Amy answer some of that as well.
Yeah, so we definitely feed them. If it's a morning, what we would typically do is a light breakfast, and then, on the turn, we would have some kind of food. And there's another slide that I'll go a little bit more into this, but one of the things, definitely if you have a vendor that can provide lunch, 1, it cuts your costs, 2, it gives them some advertising. And I just think it's normal for them to come around and, they come around the turn and they get a hot dog or whatever it may be. And then we typically would also, during the awards program, feed them as well. That would be more of the, the bigger meal, so to speak, either buffet or seated, depending on how big and how extravagant the event was. But here again, feeding them that dinner, whether, and it could be just, food stations, whatever, but that is another reason for them to stay and spend money.
Kyle, the question was asked real quick, and I want to hear just what day is best to have tournaments on?
Well, I was at a private club, so Mondays were the only day that we were allowed to have outings at a private club, and that's purely by the board of directors and the committees and the members that they want the golf course Tuesday through Sunday. So Mondays at private clubs are usually closed. It's been a day for the maintenance crew to work without the members being there. And so some of us just opened up our facility for those days. Some private clubs might allow other days. I just was never at one of those facilities. So it'd be one of those things to call around to some of those clubs, but most public courses will probably do an outing anytime that they want. Private may be a little bit different. They might fill some slow times too, maybe a Thursday afternoon slow, and they can do a 1 o'clock shotgun. So I think it's ask the pro or call the club and talk to their events person and see what they can do at those facilities.
Okay, I'm gonna do this real quick. I'm gonna bring Amy's slide up because I really want to get to some of this back to the money part. And I think we did hopefully we answered your question about having tournaments. So really we want to make sure that we get back to the money, which is, I know that's why everybody's here anyway. And why is this thing up here? So let's get that up. And to the next one, and it was the one before this.
Yep, right before it.
And so we'll just pop that up, baby, up here, and
Okay.
that way you guys can see it.
So this is just a few. There's many ways to increase your golf revenue, but these are some of the ones that kind of stick out the most to me. The first one, create sponsorship levels and pricing that's based on the true cost per person player for a tournament. I think a lot of times people just set a price that they think sounds like a good price, but you really need to look at what your costs are. If you're paying for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, plus green fees, plus a cart, you take all those and you need to divide it out by the person and see what your true cost is per person. And then whatever your cost is. So for example, it's $100 a person. Your per person cost should be no less than 2 to 3 times that. So $200 to $300 per person. We always started ours at 3 times the amount. And then as supply and demand, as your tournament grows and you start selling out, I mean, we had one tournament that, people were paying $2,000 a golfer and it was costing us $100 a person. So that's where you can grow, is making sure that you're evaluating that cost, supply and demand, and have your pricing at where it needs to be. And then also making sure that, as you build your sponsorship levels. So for example, if it's $100 a person to golf and you're selling the lunch sponsor, well, you want to make sure, and you're giving them, a foursome, you have the $400 cost for golf. And then what is lunch going to realistically cost? You can get that pricing from from the venue. And if it's going to cost you $7,000 to feed lunch, and then you've got, $400 for your golfers, you're already at $7,400. Well, you want to make money off it. So you don't want to sell that for $6,000. You want to tack on at least another $2,000 so you have profit off of that. So just making sure that you send, and we have a formula that we use internally, and I encourage you guys to have something like that. And then another big one is cut expenses. Just like Kyle mentioned, work with your golf course. If you don't ask, you don't know. You'd be surprised at how many things they allow you to bring in. And if it's the right vendor, like for us, we did a big one with a convenience store. So literally we had a vendor that gave us our breakfast. We had a vendor that came in and cooked lunch. We had a vendor that provided all of the beer. We had a vendor that, Pepsi gave everything. So we literally, and typically what they'll do is they want you to pay for one meal, is what I have found. The course, they still want to make some money. So it's one meal. So we would pay for our dinner through the course, but everything else we got donated and saved a ton of money. So have that conversation when you are working with your pro and the banquet committee. And then I just put this one, and same thing with signage. If there's a marketing company that is one of the vendors, they can do the signs for free and put their logo on all the signs. It's a win-win situation. This one, I just put this TitosVodka.com. This is just a little tip for you guys. I don't know if any of you work with Tito's, but Tito's is amazing. They are very giving. Not only do they give sponsorship dollars for events, anywhere typically $2,000 to $5,000, they love to get their product in front of people. So if your course allows you to bring in alcohol, you can get Tito's donated. And then what I like to do is it becomes a sponsorship, and you sell a Bloody Mary bar. The alcohol is donated. You just have to get, the Bloody Mary supplies, and you can either get it from the course or bring it in, whatever. But you can sell that. for a ton of money and the product is donated and Tito's loves it. And they typically will also give items for like your auction, and they'll give extra product that you could make into Bloody Mary baskets, Moscow Mule baskets for your silent auction. People love liquor. Sells like hotcakes. So that Tito's vodka, and the way it works is everybody has their own individual budget. There's regional reps for each area and they have their own individual budget. It's nothing's done through corporate. So you have a rep in your area that would reach out with you and work with you. And I encourage you to build a relationship because they are so supportive and you can use them for many, many events. An easy thing, don't date signage, reuse it. Signage can be one of your biggest expenses. So don't date it, reuse it. Most of us that have golf outings, typically your sponsors stay the same year after year.
Hey, real quick on that, I'm going to stop for just because I want to hear Kyle's take on some of that stuff too.
Sure.
Hey, Amy, the only thing I would say is on that signage thing, I would add, don't date your hats, don't date your golf clothes, don't date your golf balls, don't date golf bags. Don't date any of that, because you can always reuse it for next year's event. You can give it out as tee gifts, or on a par 3, have some bags that you had last year left over. I just see so much waste when you put a date on something that you just can never reuse that. There's a lot of people that take a year-old golf bag if it doesn't have 2019 on it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And with the signage too, I mean, here's, a conversation to have with your golf course. Our one golf course, they stored our signage for us. So literally the next year we would go back, they'd pull out our signs, cause they put them out for you. So, have that conversation as well with your course. So then the next one I can't see because I'm old and Jason has it so small.
Oh no, let me bring it back up. Sorry. Oh.
Once you get to certain age, you can't read that little. Negotiate with the golf course. And this goes back to having that conversation. What can be brought in? How can I save money? What can I bring in that's going to save me a cost? Also, when you're negotiating, if you have a golf outing that, is a year after year event, ask if you sign a 3-year contract if you can get a lower rate. A lot of times they'll cut down on your green fees and your golf cart is if you sign a 2-year contract versus a 1-year contract. So just, negotiate. Think of the things where you can save money and ask the questions. Another big one, sell holes for product advertising. So you can sell a hole for say $500 or $1,000 where, somebody can set up a table and they can let you sample their beef jerky, or somebody can set up a table and they can hand out their koozies that has their logo, whatever, just because people love exposure, especially in front of golfers. And so they want to get their product out there. So if you give them the opportunity, people will absolutely pay money to set up a tent and sit at a hole and, let people beer tastings. We've had people that, different holes had different beers or alcohol that you could taste. Here again, have the conversation with the course, because you have to know, like, if they require a bartender at that hole, or if they allow you to just hand it out, but just have that conversation. But sell those holes. Like, sell everything. I'm that person, like, whatever I can sell to make money, I'm going to do it. And then, like Kyle mentioned with the canoe and the different things, add contests to the course. Not only does it make it more fun, but every little addition that you add, putting contest, beat the pros, a big one. People love to do that one. Closest pin, longest drive. You can give prizes that are, a golf club that you can get donated or whatever, but each of those you can charge for and make a ton of money off them. So those are just a few to increase. Just be creative. Like I said, sell everything. That's my motto.
And we'll make sure and send all this out to you guys. If you want to see it, we're going to share this with you after the event. So you're definitely going to get that. I've got a couple. I know Trevor's got some questions, but I've got one real quick deal that I want to just ask, because I think just having both Kyle and Amy answer this would be good. Tell us a hack or something that you saw done that you do not want to do. Like we talked about selling unlimited mulligans or a bunch of mulligans and stuff. What is something you've seen and you like, oh my, you do not do this? Oh, come on. I know you guys have seen it.
I'll go first. No,
Keep Trevor off the golf course. That's the biggest thing. Wrecking golf carts, throwing clubs.
I mean, I think for me, one of them is
Don't give
Kyle
me the
already
kudos.
mentioned
Don't
it,
give me-
is don't go above par.
Mhm.
Anything, don't do anything that keeps people on the golf course longer than they have to be. They like to golf, but like we need them off the golf course. The golf pros want them off the golf course. So anything that keeps them on too long, don't do it.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got an 18-hole facility and you fill it out and there's 2 groups on every hole, it's a long day. And if you get a slow foursome out there that is just dragging, and that was one thing we just worked on. We just said, we're not going to allow them to finish out the hole and make 5 or 6. Just set par max. You don't want to post a 75 up on the board when there's 55s and 58s and 57s and really low scores. You're trying to make it enjoyable and keep them moving around.
And here's what he's talking about. What they're talking about is when you have some bad golfers who aren't very good, and they go out there and they put together a team, company does it, and they're not regular golfers, and they're not, or they are regular and they're just not very good. If it's a par 4, in other words, they have to be finished off 4 shots. Well, you're talking about everyone, everybody's taking 4 shots. So that way you don't want everybody taking more than 4 shots. So it really makes for a long day. So that's a great way to speed stuff up. That's really good. How is it handled if somebody did wreck a cart? Does that fall back on the club or the golf course? If somebody, tipped a cart over and got hurt or something, how does that work, Kyle?
We always talk to the individual. They came onto our property and they rented the facility. It was hard to go back on the organization that was putting it on. We just tried to go to the individual and say, hey, you did $400 damage by hitting that curb. And most of them were really good about taking care of it. They knew that they had messed up. I don't know. We never even really had that in our contract. And maybe something Amy has probably maybe dealt with a little bit more.
We have not. We have not. I mean, I know the 2 courses that we used, we talked about it and it would fall under their insurance if necessary. But I think it was the same situation where they would talk to that individual and, hopefully they would be willing to pay.
Yeah. You hope everybody a decent human being and realize that they smashed that cart and will take ownership. I mean, I think damage to a golf cart people think is a lot higher price than what it really is when the pieces come off of it and put it back together. I've seen some car tires were pointed opposite directions that came in at a $500 bid to fix the front axle and everything. So I think our members have done more damage than the outside people that come in to your facility.
And something too to add, since we're talking about golf carts and golf courses, a lot of times when you are negotiating with your golf course, they will give you $10 off for their pro shop because they want you to come spend money in the pro shop. And so a lot of times what we would do is we didn't actually give that $10 off to the golfers. We as an organization use that, and that's how we bought prizes. We would buy the prizes from the golf shop. So just a little tidbit.
Yeah, because if it's a private course and it's a special thing for somebody to play, that's a big deal. Is get a shirt, get some hats, stuff like that, and they can, you got that memento from that golf course that's not branded for the event. So that's great. Trevor, we got some Q&A. Let's get some questions out there.
Yeah, we have a question. Kara has a question, and then I think a few folks want to know, just for benchmarking purposes, I mean, what's average gross revenue they should expect? I know it's a tough question because it's probably a wide
We popped the poll up for that, Trevor.
Just for benchmarking, is it?
So that's when we did the poll for.
Yeah, I know. That's what I thought. I'm
Okay.
sorry. She asked. Yeah. Okay.
And I would say for me,
so Kara had that question, and then,
sorry, there's a little bit of a delay, but I would just say from a nonprofit side of it, I would not put your time and energy into a golf outing unless it was going to at least bring in $25,000. They can be a lot of work, and unless you have tons of staff, which I don't think most nonprofits do at this point, it's just not a good use of time unless you find a title sponsor that's going to do a majority of the work and then just cut you a check. But if it is an event that is going to be strongly led by your organization, I wouldn't touch it for under 25,000.
Awesome. That's great feedback. Kyle, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I would say the same thing. One of the things for us was I'm part of a deal called Positive Tomorrows, which is a homeless place. And we used to do Folds of Honors really big here in Oklahoma with Dan Rooney. And, we did the golf marathon where we would ask members to donate dollars to the amount of holes that we play in a day. So we'd get the course around 5:30 in the morning and play as many holes as we could to raise funds for that. But I think it's very, very time consuming to put on an event. And man, you've got to have a really good team and a lot of volunteers. And I'm kind of like Amy. I think if you're not hitting that big $20,000, $25,000, $30,000, you could just be spinning your wheels.
It's a lot of work. And I see Janine put in here about industry standards for events is expenses no more than 50%. And theirs says 30. We wouldn't do one if our expenses were over 25%. Because it depends on where you're at. There are cities that are more expensive, but if you use a lot of these best practices, negotiate, get things donated, price your sponsorships and stuff appropriately, you can absolutely do it for under 25% expenses.
And here's something I want to just make a suggest. This happens in live events. Like I see Laura, she just said, we're trying to get our signature events and won't raise near 25 grand. If you do not ask, you will not receive. Right. Set a benchmark out there. Even if it doesn't happen, if the biggest sponsorship you've ever done is 2,500 or 5,000, ask for a $10,000 sponsorship. Put it out there and make that ask. Just because you don't get it doesn't mean that you failed. It just means that you're finding and pushing, and always be pushing the envelope, because that's how it happens. I mean, similar deal. We had a group that had never made a $25,000 ask. The first year they did, they got 11 people to give $25,000 in pre-event sponsorship. So that wasn't on a golf tournament, but the same principle applies. So don't be afraid to ask.
I have two questions. to piggyback on that. Amy, you're experiencing that right now with a particular event with sponsors. Can you speak to that? And then I have another question about sponsors as well.
Are you referring to my Boston event?
Yeah, where it's going really well for this. Yeah.
So we had a big gala in Boston every year, and this year we couldn't do it in person. We just don't have the staff there. They're too closed up capacity. We couldn't do it. And so they really wanted to just not do anything until they could be in person, because they really like that in person. They didn't want to do a virtual event. So we pitched to them to switch it to a golf outing. The committee loved the idea, and we basically set our sponsorship levels equal to what we would have at the gala. So like our title sponsors, $25,000. We rolled that out to the committee this past Monday. By Tuesday, we were creating new levels because we knew we were going to run out. We had sold 2 title sponsors, and I project it will probably be sold out by the end of this week. And we will be adding more because we have room for more golfers, and we didn't open it up for foursomes. It's all sponsorships. So I think back to what Jason says is like asking and you will receive, to making sure your sponsorship levels are where they need to be so that you're making money off them, and having going back to that, whether it's a committee or the right title sponsor that has vendors, that's really the driving force for the income.
Amy, what would you give a title sponsor? For instance, we had a question come in. What's a good incentive for a title sponsor?
I mean, honestly, we don't give them a ton. We try and sell our mission versus benefits. So for example, our title sponsor, I think they're getting 2 foursomes, get to golf. They will be recognized on like signage and stuff as the title sponsor. Of course, they get breakfast, lunch, and dinner just like everybody else. Not a lot. It really isn't. And they didn't care, to be honest with you. If you're selling your mission, people, they're doing it because the title sponsor asked them to do it. And two, they're doing it because they believe in your organization and your mission. And so you really, I'm a big believer in not giving away the world.
Keep mission drive. Do not
Good
stop.
feedback.
Just because it's golf doesn't mean everybody's going to show up. You're not going to get people with deep pockets that suck at golf to come show up at a private course because they're just dying to go play, Torrey Pines or something. That's not how that works. But if they believe in the mission, yeah, they'll go out there and hack it up and have fun and get out there in the sun and do it. That's the thing. And Ruth just asked, I understand 25,000 is a solid number in Boston. Would that be a solid? Ruth, ask. You can always negotiate.
Yeah.
You can always negotiate. If somebody that, said, we're trying to get 25,000, they go, I can't do 25 grand, but I can do 15 or 20.
Right.
It's always pushing that envelope. So don't
We
be
sold
afraid
two
to
of
ask.
them instantly. We sold 2 title sponsors right off the bat at 25,000 each
And
in
so,
Boston.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's
please
awesome.
ask.
So they're there.
I have another really good question I've been holding on to, actually, and I want to hear Kyle and Amy on this. We're good on time for a few more minutes. So we had 2 attendees, I hope they're still on, that asked, they're in a very competitive market for nonprofits, and they use a private club. They want to know how they can, and the same private club is used by other nonprofits for outings. How can they stand out? What's just some decent feedback, just something that they could utilize where they could really stand out above the rest in their neck of the woods? It's a broad question, but I think a good one.
I think there's a couple things. One, and I think Kyle can probably attest to this, like making sure it's a well-run event. There's nothing worse. And you can have, I've seen golf outings that were a disaster. You have to have it together. So I think people remember the event and want to go back to the event that is very well run. Registration is smooth. They're not waiting in line for registration for an hour. And then the other piece of it, I would think is, depending on the size of it, there are things, for our events like that where we're trying to stand out. For example, in a couple areas, we have a VIP reception that's the night before that is people want to attend because it's a great networking. It costs more. We make money off the VIP event. And in some cases we add fun little elements to it. So in one area, the VIP reception the night before does like a casino night, or like a poker tournament or something. So it's an added element. They pay to go to it, brings us more money, but it kind of sets us apart from others. Or in some areas, we have a VIP reception the night before that is just for the VIPs, but it's almost like its own separate event. We auction off things like golfing with the CEO of the company, because those are your high-end people and they want to be with the CEO of the company that is the title sponsor. So we auction it off the night before. So just doing little things to stand out. But I think a big one is really having that well-run, smooth event that people have fun, enjoy, and don't leave with a bad taste in their mouth.
Got a quick question to add on that. How many volunteers do you need to run efficiently run a tournament?
I think it depends on what you have at your tournament. Like if you have a putting contest, you need volunteers out there, marking the putting and stuff. But I would say 12 to 15 at a minimum.
Good. 12 to 15. That sounds, because I know that, you've got you'll have the nonprofit staff, and then you've got the golf staff there, but they've got to be running, back there.
They're
running all the
busy.
stuff. You've got to have some people up there to do it. So, that's really good. Hey, we're down to the last 4 minutes, my clock, and we always do. We've got time for one more question, and then we're going to draw our winner, and then we'll send everybody on their way. But so
Hey,
what's one more question?
Jason?
Huh?
Hey, one thing also, when you're looking at tee prizes, try to get something of quality. I've seen so many horrible Nike shirts and hats that are just thrown in the back of the golf cart. My backroom guys end up selling on the street corner, I think. People want to leave with something of quality, that you want them to wear it whether it's branded, that people go, hey, did you play in that tournament last year? Yeah, it's great. So you're always trying to network where someone may see that hat you have on, you may have that jacket on, but if you don't give them something quality, you're not going to wear it.
Oh yeah, sell it as a sponsorship, the prize sponsor, so that you
Absolutely.
have money to cover to get high-end prizes. Absolutely agree.
And just so everybody knows,
if the shirts cost, $5,000 to buy shirts, sell a sponsorship for $7,000 or $8,000 and put some of that money back, but get something of quality that whole group, they're not going to leave that in the cart. They're going to take it home and wear it.
Yeah. So I've played plenty of tournaments, and you get the goodie bag. Somebody mentioned the goodie bag.
Yeah.
And it's some cheap, crappy balls.
Yep.
There'll be some stuff that I'll never use, never have. And basically, and you see this, it gets thrown in the trash.
Yeah.
It gets thrown in the trash, left in the golf cart. Nobody ever takes it. Nobody pulls the balls out. I mean, if you're going to get some balls, go get some, go ahead and pay the money, get a ball sponsor, pay for Titleist, do the stuff that you need to do. And that's another sponsorship opportunity, because there's somebody that, if I can get my stuff and I'm going to go put a sleeve of balls in everybody's bag and I can put my brand on it, sure, why wouldn't I?
Oh, our goodie bags, we sold that sponsorship every year. And I mean, one year it was a nice leather computer bag stuffed with high-end stuff. Yeah. I mean, here again, back to what we said, sell everything, so you can pay for the nice quality stuff.
Hey, we're at the time we got to wrap up. We're going to do our draw prize. And so I just want to tell everybody, thank you so much for being here. Kyle, thank you so much for taking time to come and be a part of us and giving us that unique view from the head pro perspective. Amy, again, thank you. Unbelievable amount of information that you bring to the table every day. And we're just so proud to have you guys here. We're going to send this out. What we're going to do, and I'm going to ask Kyle if that's okay. Can we share your email addresses? I know Amy said we could do that. And if Kyle says, you good to put your deal for
Absolutely.
the group in that way? If you have a question, you can ask the pros to do that. We'll also send, the copy of the recording. We'll send the slides and our emails. I'm Jason at hjfundraising.com and Trevor's at trevor@hjfundraising.com. We're here to help you any way we can. And if you've got some ideas, say, hey, we need a, golden ticket, how to do that, some software, something like that, we're glad to do it. All right, Trevor, you're up.
So good. I'm totally floored by the information. I can't thank you, Kyle, Amy, and Jason enough. Amazing. Lisa Falk is the winner of the travel item that we'll be following up with this afternoon. And you can use it at your next golf event, Lisa, if you like, and we can help. We're happy to. I am totally floored with the information. Pure gold. Again, can't thank you all enough for staying on for so long and for joining. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your colleagues. You can sign up on our Facebook page. You can sign up from the email links that we send out every week. So we can't wait to see you next Thursday as well. So thank you
Thursday,
so very, very much.
Yeah, and next Thursday is going to be a deal on buy-in deals. So we're going to have some experts come in and talk about that, about how to do buy-ins at an event and how to raise a whole lot of money with that. So we want to just keep helping you raise more money.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone.
And Jason, I saw people asking about sponsorships and stuff. I will send you some sample sponsorships and some other resources that you can share out with everybody.
Fantastic.
Just to see.
We'll forward
So
that
that's
right
coming.
along.
I saw it come in the chat. We'll send you some.
We'll try to have all that stuff out to you guys this afternoon. So we appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Wow. So good. So good. Thank you all so very much.
Thanks again, Kyle.
Thank you, Kyle.
You're welcome. Nice meeting all of you.
Nice meeting you guys. Bye.
Of course.